So by this point in time, we've all seen the doctor with over 14 years of education who couldn't, or I would say wouldn't, say that a man can't get pregnant. So most people would see this as a woke fail. I see it as something much more dangerous. So the moment we traded the authority of a degree for the authority of oneself. So this video isn't about gender or picking sides between the right or the left. It's about the death of credibility. We've been blaming the woke virus for a while now, but the real virus is actually my truth, or expressive individualism. So expressive individualism is like this belief that your internal feelings are the ultimate authority over reality, so how you feel inside. So for the longest time, it was always, where's your credentials? Where did you go to school? How many years? Who did you study under? All the time, right, guys? And now we have a person with a degree and it doesn't seem to matter. So a degree should have been like a contract with society. It says, I have submitted my mind to objective facts. But if a professional believes that they have the authority to redefine reality based on identities, then they have broken that contract. A title won't keep bias out if they lack the integrity to admit what is true. So in the book After Virtue by Scottish-American philosopher Alasdair MacIntyre, he said that modern moral discourse today, what he called a motivist. So it means our moral judgments now are mere expressions of personal preferences and or emotions rather than objective truths. Now, with that in mind, let's watch just 1 minute of this video and look and see what is really happening.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
and female with...
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things.
Now, many people think that she's crazy and that her license should be revoked. I'm here to say that Dr. Verma has a different worldview than the senator. She believes in expressive individualism. Now, let me show you those two worldviews for professionals. Our traditional model, we believe that a credible professional comes in with objective facts, and their goal is to serve the truth, and our result is a trustworthy institution. But what if the professional is an expressive individualist? Well, then they believe in subjective feelings, and their goal is to affirm either themselves and or the patient, thus resulting in the death of credibility. Continuing with the traditional view, he mentioned the science and the biology, and he was just like, these are objective facts. We're talking science here. And she was talking what? She was talking about a subjective reality. She started to say, you're conflating male and female with men and women. That's subjective stuff. That's not scientific. So the traditional model, we believe that the authority doesn't start from within, but like it starts from without, and that what we must live in accordance with reality. When you're an expressive individualist, the person themselves has authority to define reality now. So it comes from within. So the truth, or my truth, exists inside of the person, and it is projected out onto the world as opposed to conforming to reality. So when people say that they're going to call in an expert, they are saying something, right? So there's an expectation. Most people are rightly assuming that we are going to bring in a credible professional. As I said before, you can agree that a degree is a type of social contract. It's when society or a place of higher education grants somebody a doctor of medicine, and it's based on the assumption that the person has mastered a body of objective knowledge and they're going to apply it faithfully. So in theory, money, politics, and power should not interfere, in theory. So if a professional adopts expressive individualism, they break this contract, and they're no longer a steward of objective truth. They now have a personal ideology and or agenda that they're going to push. So now we know from education, a degree can prove that you can learn something, but integrity proves that you can be trusted with the information that you've learned. Dr. Verma isn't stupid. She is simply a liar with no integrity. So now we've suffered the death of credibility, but hypocrisy still runs rampant. So last week on X, there were some critics who were attacking people like Matt Walsh and Nick Shirley, claiming they don't have degrees, and so why should anybody listen to them? Right, so it started with this guy. Nick Shirley, being a high school dropout, makes a lot of sense when you hear him speak in interviews. He is completely incapable of answering simple, straightforward questions that he should have answers to, giving the claims he is making. Wow. First of all, that's not true information. Nick Shirley actually has been to school, but apparently this person didn't feel like he needed to be factual. And so this guy, he thinks that he's going to take a stab at Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh constantly yells about how superior he is to the third world, yet never attended college or apparently has worked as anything but a guy yelling his opinion to the world. He should start an Avengers of undereducated and underachiever pundits. And so Matt Walsh, not to, bow out of a fight. I know it's got to suck that we both work in the same industry and you wasted your money on a useless degree. I didn't go to college at all, and yet I'm more successful than you by literally every metric. So what those guys were actually doing is that's the appeal to authority fallacy. They believe that because somebody has a degree, that makes them more credible. Well, if a person with a degree, like Dr. Verma, refuses to acknowledge objective biological reality, then the degree that she holds loses its function and she's no longer a guarantee of truth. And that's why her license should be revoked. But now, if this expert has decided to say that truth is subjective as opposed to objective, then any random person who points to objective reality is actually being more scientific than the person with a 14-year degree. So you aren't anti-science for disagreeing with a doctor who has abandoned objective basis of science. So that's essentially what Charlie Kirk was fighting for when he was on these college campuses, the indoctrination of people in the college system as opposed to them going to these higher centers of learning to actually be educated. But unfortunately, my truth was not only adopted by the left, it was also adopted by the right as well. They just express it in different ways. So we have like a lifestyle expressive individualism. So on the left is what we just saw. My truth defines my body. We have a lot of biological expressive individualism. On the right, though, we'll have my happiness defines my commitments. So it's more of a moral expressive individualism. So the doctor was on the left. We have a lot of trans ideologies and other wokeness, biological expressive individualism. On the right, just to give you an example, this is what we'll have. We'll have people who claim that they stand on family values as like an objective communal good, but then live a life centered on personal impulse and my happiness, my personal happiness above all. And so then, you'll get a person who gets married as many times as possible saying, I just want to find my true love. And it doesn't matter all of the collateral damage, ex-spouses, kids, none of that matters. It's all about the person. Well, that's the same as self as authority logic in expressive individualism. So what if the right is angry at this woman, the doctor, she's standing on what she wants to stand on the left. But people on the right do it as well, just with a different priority. So we have too many people on the right who are as expressive individualists as well. They want objective truth, though, in the hospitals and courtrooms, but my truth in their relationships. So the impact of that is exactly what we're seeing now. So we originally thought that my truth was harmless if it was just about like our personal lives and like, our social media bios. But my truth has now entered into our courtrooms, our hospitals, and our schools. And so when we have terms like man, woman, harm, fact, when they become subjective terms, changing based on how somebody feels inside, then the law just collapses. You can't have a justice system, an education system, a medical system built on the foundation of shifting sands. So the virus is not really wokeness. The virus was the idea of my truth, which we love so much when it gave us the freedom to do whatever we wanted without judgment. And we spent so many years celebrating it. But now that same exact logic is rewriting science and rewriting our laws, and suddenly we're outraged. I can't believe it. Well, it doesn't work that way. So we can't demand objective truth from the world if we refuse to adhere to it ourselves. So there has to be a return to objective truth, or the only credible people will be the ones telling it, with or without degrees. We have become delusional. And this, what's going on out there, is what the end of a shared reality looks like.